Good morning, everyone. We're going to call a meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order. Today is September 19th, 2020. We are in the Sierra Room at the Community Center at Carson City. And today we have one item on the agenda, and that's the abstract of the vote. Do we have public comment at this time? Oh, wait a minute. We better do the Pledge of Allegiance and stuff to get formally started. Would you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I apologize for that. All right. Let's see. Now, where are we going to go? Public comment now. Anybody? Desi, anybody on the line?
There is no public comment, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we want a roll call. Do I have to do this, Ben? We have to do a roll call, or I just can't say we're all here? Do a roll call.
Good morning. Supervisor Giomi. Here. Supervisor Bonkowski. Here. Supervisor Bagua.
Here.
Supervisor Barrett.
Here.
Mayor Kroll.
Here, thank you. All right. We have no public comment. We're roll called in. We're signed in. Aubrey, take it away.
I will try to make this super fast because I know.
Why don't you
it's
just give a little synopsis of what canvassing the vote is?
So canvassing of the vote is the official required by law where the county clerk comes to the Board of Supervisors and we present whether there was any discrepancies within the voting, and you guys approve that it is a good, clean election. So.
And it also, it's not going to happen this time, but it's also the triggering time for people who want to file for, this is the day, this is the official count day. So if you're going to do a recount or things like that, today is the day you move off of.
Yes, so 3 working days after today would be the deadline for a recount to be
Okay.
filed.
Yeah, so even though we kind of treat it as pro forma, we do that around here because we've got good people running stuff. It's an important day. It's an important day in democracy here. So go ahead, tell us what happened.
And I've been really nervous about this day for a long time. But I'm happy to say that the 2020 primary election, we have had no discrepancies within our voting counts. A lot of that is based on it was an all-mail election. We didn't have the poll books, we didn't have the voting machines, so we were strictly counting ballot to our ballot reader. I did want to take a minute and just say some thank yous because the city really stepped up and helped a lot. First and foremost, of course, my staff. I have Miguel Camacho here. He's my chief deputy clerk. Without him, I probably would be sitting in front of you without any hair. He kept me grounded. Nicole, Emily, Vicky, Beth, all of their enthusiasm and dedication and hard work. We were mandated to do an all-mail election with 2 months' notice. It took all hands on deck. We worked many long days every weekend since March. I also want to thank our election workers, our election board members, which includes Sue Merriweather, who came out of retirement. I coaxed her a little bit, but she was happy to help where she could. Carson should be very proud of our election volunteers, our election workers. They really stepped up knowing that there was a pandemic going on. We still had a lot of volunteers that were offering to help. Alternative sentencing and facilities, they helped with staging an area for possible lines in front of the courthouse. They brought barricades in. It really helped us understand where we could stage people in case we had lines with social distancing requirements. We also had plexiglass installed at our front counters, as well as additional security staffed at the courthouse. So I just wanted to acknowledge everyone for helping out with that. We had no idea what to expect for line control, and so with the extra security, we felt a lot more prepared. Parks and Rec offered up one of their staff members, and she was a huge help. She filled in a lot of gaps at the last minute. She was amazing. The DA's office, obviously with an all-mail election, there were a lot of legal issues, a lot of questions that I had to go to for them. And they were just super helpful, dropped everything and got us our answers. Max and all the judges in the courthouse for even allowing us to use it as a polling location. I know a lot of places were not allowing public to gather, so I really appreciate that they didn't make me scramble at the last minute and find another location. And finally, the senior center, we were able to move part of our offices over to the senior center so that the election could stay at the courthouse, so we didn't have as many people there. This election was very challenging. With the passage of same-day voter registration and the directive to administer an all-mail election, we encountered many new challenges. We worked very closely with all of the Nevada counties as well as the state to work through the hurdles together. We were constantly talking, having conference calls, and working out any issues that we saw coming up. As you can see, the turnout for this election was just under 40%, which is an increase from the 36.18% in 2016 and the 30.75% for the 2018 primary elections. I do anticipate over 90% turnout for the general election. That's a daunting thought, but it's a great thought. During early voting, which was May 23rd through June 5th, turnout was very minimal. It was really hard to anticipate how people were actually going to turn out for this election. But during early voting, most people were mailing in their ballots. We were keeping up with them. We were able to handle all the issues. Then on election day, per the state, we were required to have one polling location open to facilitate the same-day registrations, voter registration updates, and the reissues of ballots. We had about 300 people come through the polling location on election day. It felt like a lot more than that. It was a very slow process, and I would say for the most part, the voters were very patient with us. The wait times were long, just due to the time it takes for us to process a new ballot for them. A lot of the people in line, we had 22 that were same-day registrations. We had 15 that came through to update their registration, either an address change or a party update. But the majority of people in line really just wanted to vote their ballot in person. I know it was confusing for the public. We didn't have voting equipment available in Carson City. The only county that did was Washoe County. We just felt that we could manage the COVID restrictions as well as the people a lot easier without the voting equipment. However, processing paper applications and dealing with the voters who needed to surrender their original ballot and get reissued a ballot was very time-consuming. So I appreciate the public's patience as they waited in line. We were also practicing social distancing, so we only had a certain number of voters within the hallway. And at one point in the day, Miguel actually started a line outside, and they actually did get to use the Disneyland barricades that we that we had set up. Reporting, the unofficial results was another frustrating part of the new same-day registration laws. I just wanted to take a little time to go into why it was different among the counties and why it was kind of slow. With the extended time to be accepting postmarked ballots and the extended time to wait for any same-day provisional ballots to be processed, reporting was very slow. In order to maintain the secrecy of voters' ballots in accordance with Nevada law, I wasn't comfortable releasing small amounts of ballot batches to the public, as well as being efficient. In order to process absent ballots, I have to have a duplicating board and an absent ballot board, my counting board, all at the courthouse to do that. So if I had 5 ballots come in the mail that day, it wasn't economically feasible to have the board come in and go through all those. So we waited until we had enough of a batch to bring the boards in and go ahead and process. Because Nevada counties get their mail all differently, the volumes were different as the counties were getting in, so they were reporting at different times. I do believe that for future elections, this will be more of a streamlined process. This was the first time we've ever had to comply with these new extended deadlines. So we will work harder for future elections to get a little more consistent with the counties on reporting. But we are still going to be very dependent on the larger counties as well as the state, just due to the provisional ballots. We're not allowed to accept those until the state has verified that nobody has voted within another county. And obviously for the larger counties, it takes them a longer time to get all their ballots into the system. So that is where we're going to kind of get hung up. But again, we're going to be talking and trying to streamline that process so it's a little bit more consistent. You'll know what to expect. I know the press was really wanting to know when to expect results, and it was hard to give them a time because we just had no idea. So, but again, all that said, I'm very happy. We have no discrepancies with our ballots. We are confident that the procedures we set in place to handle the volume of ballots worked well. Our election boards were extremely organized and efficient. Our staff handled each and every ballot. We looked at every single signature. We grouped all of the ballots so that we knew everyone was accounted for, and that's almost 14,000 ballots that 3, 4 staff members handled at any given time. We've learned a lot from this election. It was kind of an outside-the-box election, so we were able to learn some new processes that may help us even in a regular type of election. And we just feel that we really came through for the Carson City residents. With that, I'm here to answer any questions.
Well, Aubrey, on behalf of a grateful community, we want to thank you for running a fraud-free, error-free election. I don't know if the rest of the counties have that, but I will tell you, in my 12 years here, and one's on the school board as well, I've never seen a problem. Sometimes we have little niches and gnats, but I don't think I've ever seen one come in just as clean like this. Maybe that's because of the voting process, but hats off to you. Please pass on to your volunteers and to your staff. Thanks for all the hard work. We may have to do this drill again on a mail-in ballot in November. We'll see where that legislature goes, but we couldn't be more proud of you and thankful for running what do I call it? An essential block of democracy is what we just did, and you did it error-free. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Anybody else want to weigh in? We'll entertain a motion.
I'm glad it's done.
Since you want to make a motion?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay. I get that. All right. Well, a motion to approve the canvas.
I move to approve the canvassing of the vote as presented.
There's a motion and a second on the motion. Discussion?
John.
We okay, Ben, for a vote? All right. On the motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Carried. All right. Now we'll be in recess for a couple hours and we'll come back. All right. All right.
We're awake.
We will now go to final concluding public comment. Anybody? Desi, anybody on the line?
There's no final public comment, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Board, are we ready to adjourn? Ready? Unless absent an objection, we are adjourned. Thanks to the board. Thanks to everybody. We've now completed an essential part of how we live in this world. Good. All right.